One of the gentlemen in the DEP told me, he said, Dr. Hayes, you're very insulting at times. I said, there's no crying in baseball. So, anyway, that's part of the problem. So the solution has to be an MRI of the plant to get it done. And you can do that. Now, also, getting back to the ponds, 1,000 acres of septic tank. Why are you saving this stuff? Why are you saving it? It's sludge, it's trash, it's garbage. Why are you saving it? It's not like money in the bank. It's not growing any interest. It's not producing any chemicals you can use. So 3 of us have come to a pretty good conclusion that you should dredge out those ponds and get rid of that sludge. That's not doing any good. Now again, is there a process to do that? Yes, ma'am. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. My company, Hayes McKay, happens to be doing Lake Hancock down south. It's a 5,000 acre lake, and it's a huge lake. It's got 2 million tons of organic material in it. We're taking it out over an 11-year period at our own expense and selling it as organic fertilizer. I don't suggest you can do this here, but you can take this stuff out, convert it to about the consistency of potting soil, and you can incinerate it. Now, Dr. Lucy and I are going to have a little problem with this because I haven't convinced her of that yet. Have I, Lucy? Okay. But anyway, there's a discussion between technicals. But you got to get rid of that. Now here again, here's another problem. Look at these things. Those are sludge ponds. Sludge ponds. Straight out sludge. So you not only have that, you've got this. So how do you bring the whole plant into compliance? You have to have the MRI. You have to have the study. A qualified chemical engineer, and Steve Patterson asked me, how long would it take us to do this? Approximately 6 to 8 months, but it would have to be a feasibility study that took the operating conditions of GP now. What are you spending there? I asked somebody from GP in a meeting, what's it costing you to maintain those ponds? He said, nothing. You can operate 1,000 acres of ponds with mechanical aerators, bulldozers, and it costs nothing. Is anybody here in real estate? 1,000 acres of real estate doesn't cost anything. That's a brilliant thing. So, you know, the conflict is here. Now, I maintain that I've worked on the industrial side for years, and they know the problem. They know this Brown and Caldwell report was garbage. At the top, they spent, what, $500,000 for that and didn't get an answer? Companies don't do that. They know it. They don't like other people bothering them while they're trying to figure out the answer. And I pointed out something in a reality check. They've got a guy called a risk manager someplace in GP that's saying, if we don't get this done, if we dump something into the river, we can have injunctions and things like that. Stop. And I brought a newspaper article at someplace in here. Down in my neck of the woods, the Sierra Club has halted Mosaic for less of a problem. They have an injunction down there to stop work. So to me, the whole thing, as long as you sit down, you can resolve this whole thing. It takes an MRI, takes a feasibility study. We're prepared to dredge out the ponds, get rid of that. But the only thing I say in here is the only thing as far as ban the pipeline, may I go on record as saying the only thing I would say ban the pipeline, it's ban the pipeline that goes 1,600 yards out in the river 10 feet deep. Because if you put it down there, you will never, that thing's full of holes. It's called diffusers. That means you'll never see it from the surface. 1,600 yards at that point in the river is more than halfway across the river. Halfway across the river, 10 feet deep. How are you going to tell what's coming out this pipe? I've been in the industrial side. I think someplace in GP they're trying to figure out the answer. They just don't go public because they don't like to be interfered with. I know, I've been on that side. So, groups like this can say, look, here's logic in the thing. Let's sit down and get it done. So with that, I'll throw it over. I think I ran over my 50.
No, you're good.
Oh, by the way, I got to tell you a story.
Oh.
Not the funny story. I'm not going to tell the funny story. How do I know about a pipeline sunk? When I was a young chemical engineer, just out of school, I went to work for Hooker Chemical in Niagara Falls, a company that produced the Love Canal. That's why I call this the Love Canal. I know it. But one of my first duties, as they did with most young chemical engineers, is they say, trace out the sewer system. They give you nasty jobs like that. Well, this was a plant that was 5 miles by 5 miles. Huge plant, huge old sewer systems. Had been there since the late 1900s, early 1900s. You couldn't tell where one sewer connected with the other. So I read my chemical engineering magazine. Well, an azeotropic dye. Have you ever heard of that? You throw a little pinch of that into a lake, you can dye this whole river out here. Well, not too many people knew much about it. So I ordered 10 pounds of this stuff. And the salesman said, why? I said, because we got a lot of sewers. Okay? So anyway, I got it, and fortunately, I didn't really tell my bosses what I was intending to do, but I had 5 guys assigned to me with walkie-talkies, and I said, look, we'll put a spoonful in this sewer, and you tell me if it's over there. We had the covers off. We could not find the connection. So I finally said, well, I got bright. I said, I'm going to throw the whole damn 10 pounds in the sewer and see where it goes. The world of water turned yellow in Hooker Chemical. It was not only, it was in the drinking fountains, the urinals, the cooling towers, everything. It was like paint. And I thought that was bad enough. But one day later, the Niagara newspaper published a photo from the air. And there in the Niagara Falls, there was a beautiful yellow arrow going out in the Niagara Falls River that we didn't dump anything into the Niagara Falls River. No, we didn't dump anything in the river. But there was that beautiful yellow pipeline headed at Niagara Falls. So if it's anything in my distinctive resume, it's that I was able to dye Niagara Falls pale yellow. But that's my experience with submerged pipelines. Put some yellow dye in it and see where it goes. You'll see. Okay. Q&A?
I will have Lucy on those.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Bob.